So Daredevil episode 7 is out, and it should win an award for the worst dialogue ever written.
Ha! Ha! Yes, Buck. Yes.
I'm retarded?
But before I get into it, if you want to help out the channel, you could support me on Patreon, and it would be greatly appreciated. So let's just start in chronological order, and that's very easy because the first scene in this episode was probably the worst. So after last week's fight with Muse and the reappearance of Daredevil, Fisk's task force comes in and briefs him on the fact that Daredevil is back, and the music builds up right before the intro. As everybody walks out of the room, Fisk waits a good 30 seconds, then looks out the window like a mad person and says, "He's back."
Get out. He's back.
What the fuck?
This is cartoonish to the point of you wouldn't even see it in a comic book. I don't remember one time Fisk ever looked out a window and started talking to himself. And what really doesn't help his case is the way that Wilson Fisk has been acting for the entire show and the rest of this episode. Every scene in this office, and that's got to do with Fisk, is utterly retarded. Every single one. I'm not trying to be nitpicky or trying to be rage bait. Literally, the script on this episode, I don't know who wrote it, but it was just extremely generic with no talent behind it. Most scenes in the show, to be honest, are that, where nobody has talent on screen except maybe the big actors. And really, it might just be Vincent D'Onofrio and John Bernthal, because every other supporting character, like the Asian cop woman who just keeps on appearing. So you're telling me after that flashback, there's literally only 4 people in New York City. You have that one bald Hispanic cop, and you have this Asian cop woman. There's no police force, there's no paramedics like Claire in the Netflix show. It feels like we're seeing the same 5 people over and over.
You know, and sometimes this all feels, to me, feels fake.
You're goddamn right.
But I suppose I should tackle the main kind of part of this episode, which was the reveal of who Muse was and his anticlimactic death. I don't really think we need a spoiler warning because I don't think anybody's actually going to watch this. So Muse reveals himself when he's talking with Heather Glenn in a therapy room. This one isn't really scary or eerie or even creepy, to be honest. It just kind of gets a little bit cringe. And the main evidence of that is the fact that this show isn't a Netflix show. It's not as dark, yet they think that they are. And they're trying to prove it with every single episode, adding in more curses and more blood.
Don't fucking call me that!
Speaking of cursing, before I move on, I need to mention something that I missed last time. So in episode 6, when Matt was on the phone to the police and he was ready to call for help, he just threw down the phone and says, "F it."
Fuck it.
I don't know how I missed this, but holy crap, who wrote that? Did the person who allowed that to be said by Charlie Cox ever read any comic of Daredevil? Like, ever. This episode and the entire show feels like if you told a 10-year-old that he was allowed curse and then you let him write a script. There's a scene in this episode where Matt and the bald Hispanic cop, who I still don't know who he is, are having a little conversation, and Matt, like super cringe, just sneaks in the phrase "dicking around."
What was I supposed to do? The cops were dicking around getting nowhere. I found Muse in one night.
Matt Murdock does not talk like that. I don't know who wrote this and what they're thinking, but that isn't Matt Murdock. He doesn't go F this and F that and oh man, they were just dicking around. What is that? Anyways, back to this extremely boring scene where Muse probably tells the most generic villain backstory of all time. So his parents wanted him to be an athlete, so they made him join Taekwondo, and there was this really good coach who was teaching him, and then after 3 months the coach ended up dead. Now I don't know if this is from the comic, but this is like the worst backstory of all time. The fact that he did Taekwondo is just shoehorned in there for a reason for him to be able to fight so well, which I can show you right now. Muse was kicking the ever-living crap out of Daredevil, throwing multiple spin kicks into his face. And then this is what Matt Murdock looked like after that horrible beating. This isn't the Netflix show where his face would always be bandaged up or he'd have a black eye. Instead, he has one little mark on his back. You're telling me he took these kicks to the face and there's not one cut or mark or bruise? For a show that prides itself on being this serious crime gangster drama with super dark themes and cursing, It's just plain stupid. But anyway, we see Daredevil do a small bit of investigation, which is basically the core of his character, and he hasn't done it once in the entire show. He goes down to Muse's lair and starts looking at paintings, and he finds one of Heather Glenn. So after the scene with Heather Glenn that we were all supposed to be super shocked by, where Muse is about to get rid of her and it's going to be really violent, Daredevil, in broad daylight, I don't know how he did it, swings straight through the window. And they start having this fight scene, which I think wasn't actually that bad. Still nowhere near as good as the Netflix show, but it wasn't that bad. Only for the fact that it was all in broad daylight. Don't dark superheroes like Batman, Daredevil, Wolverine all have something about not going out in the day?
Will you be wanting the back punch, sir?
Middle of the day, Alfred? Not very subtle.
This fight scene could have been so cool if it looked like a Daredevil fight scene. Instead, there's no use of shadow or neon lighting like we've seen with some of the other fight scenes in the show. This one is just the brightest thing you've ever seen. And a few unnecessary screams later, Muse ends up dead. This episode, even though having a lot happening in it, is probably the most uneventful, boring thing I've ever watched, where one scene plays out from start to finish and then the next one starts up. It doesn't have that screenwriting capability of we come in late on a scene and then we leave early. No, everything plays out and then this happened and then this happened and then this person went here. And it doesn't help that half the show is people we don't even care about. But I'm not gonna lie to you, the scene where the race swapped Ben Urich daughter BB Urich came in and tried to talk to Tony Soprano's son was kind of hilarious.
Look, you were high, you were slipping.
Shut up. We're friends, BB. But I'm not a fucking chump. Mayor Fisk isn't fucking around, and neither am I.
But still, that scene made no sense because they were both talking like the BB report is what everybody in New York goes to if they want news. When the BB report is some crappy blog that shoots on a Super 8 camera instead of like an iPhone or something. Oh yeah, and I just remember probably my favorite scene in the entire show so far. After tons of unnecessary shots of the city and stock footage that makes no sense and was never in Daredevil, we get the scene with Wilson Fisk and the fake Wesley style character Park. And during watching this, I fell off my chair like 8 times laughing my ass off. Wilson Fisk has officially went full retard.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
So in this normal conversation, he dumps a big load of exposition for no reason and then has all these weird mannerisms where he just lets out this scream randomly. And then on top of that, as the conversation continues, it gets just extremely gay. Wilson Fisk looking into this guy's face, mouth open like, yes, yes, what are you doing?
But you've moved on from that now, huh?
You're the man now.
Can you recall why I said I hired you?
I believe you called it my ability to think asymmetrically.
Yes, Buck. Yes.
How is this the Kingpin? I'll say it again. Michael Clark Duncan put in a better performance because he actually played Wilson Fisk, whereas Vincent D'Onofrio is playing some gay Joe Biden character. But the cream of the crop was the end of the episode, where the cinematic music starts playing and we're all supposed to be really hyped up as we see slow motion shots of Vanessa betraying Wilson Fisk. Vanessa's a bitch who I don't care about. Can she get out of the show, like, as soon as possible? All she does is boss people around, including the Kingpin, the ultimate feminist girl boss, and proof of why this show is woke. If you don't have the balls to call this out, or at least realize it, then shame on you. Don't call yourself a comic book fan or somebody who's part of the culture war when you can't just point out simple crap like this. I'm not gonna name names, but big YouTubers in the anti-woke sphere. Where the hell are you? Daredevil Born Again, let me repeat it one last time. It's not a solid show. It's not an 8 out of 10. It's not like a slightly less good version of the Netflix show. It's just plain woke trash. Feminist girl boss Vanessa, cocked Wilson Fisk, racist white cops, Donald Trump allegory in the Kingpin. You could just keep on going on with this show. I'm not gonna say that it's not entertaining every week, watching gay Wilson Fisk mouth watering into some other dude's face. But this is simply just not Daredevil. You can put it any way you want, but it's just the truth. With every new episode of Daredevil Born Again, it's just a perfect example of how to ruin an excellent character and show with wokeness. And if you don't want to accept that, then go complain to your boyfriend.